Dovetail Games' eagerly anticipated DLC for Train Sim World brings passenger trains and services to the new train simulator platform. Set in England's Great Western Mainline service, it comes with 3 locomotives, 5 scenarios and a 24-hour schedule for you to jump into. But does it bring the full passenger rail experience that we've all been waiting for? Hi guys, Squirrel here, and welcome to my first look video of Train Sim World's Great Western Express DLC. Now this, because it is a DLC, you need to have Train Sim World CSX Heavy Haul before you can even play this thing. You can't buy this on its own, you have to buy this and this. They do a bundle, I think, so you can get both at once, but it is a DLC content. In order to access it, you just jump straight in from the main menu, and you're presented with the tutorials, the scenarios, and the services. Let me quickly look at the services because it shows you the locomotives that you get. The first one you get is the Class 43 GWG. This is a diesel-electric loco. It's a 125 mile an hour intercity train. Very familiar on the British railway circuit. This one, in the scenario, it's going out of London Paddington on the Great Western Main Line, and it's heading out towards Reading. It is a fast train, it is an infrequent stopper, which means it's both fun and slightly kind of sit around and wait for, the next station to turn up 30 miles away. If you want something a bit more frequent, then this is the one that you want. This is the Class 166. It's a diesel hydraulic EMU. It's quite a nice little train to drive, this one. It visually is very, very well done, as we'll see. And this one is a frequent stopper, so you get to see a lot more scenario if you play with this one. I would recommend this one when you're starting out because you'll get to see the scenario in a lot more detail instead of flying past it at 100 miles an hour. Then you get this one, the Class 66. It's in a DB Schenker livery. It's a diesel-electric loco. It's a very capable locomotive for freight services. And I'll show you now, if we drop back one of the screens, that you get tutorials and scenarios. Now, the tutorials, let's talk about tutorials. You get 4 tutorials. Personally, I was hoping for quite a few more. You get 1 for each logo. They're very basic. They're literally a 5-minute introduction to how to get in and turn on and get moving each of the 3 locos that come with this pack. The other one you get is this one, which is basically a Class 166 stopper. What happens is you drive along and then it teaches you how to stop in the right place on the platform. This, out of everything, I think is my most kind of disappointing aspect of the DLC. I was hoping for a lot more tutorials than this. Certainly for somebody that's just about getting into train simulation, for example, that didn't play the previous one, is going to be left hung out to dry on this one, because once you've got past the basics, you sit inside the loco and there's a whole load of buttons and switches that you have no idea what they're for or how to use them. Even for the freight one itself, I would have liked to have seen a cold and dark tutorial, for example. So I found, this aspect a little bit disappointing. However, I must precede what I'm saying with, I'm looking at a pre-release version of this game. Maybe they'll release more tutorials ahead of release, but I doubt it because this is a release candidate, so I think this is what we're going to get. But, maybe they'll add some more, I don't know. So that's your tutorials and the services of the trains. You've got the scenarios. Now the scenarios are interesting. There are 5 scenarios in total. This one, for example, is a 60-minute. We're going to be doing this one a bit later on. Then we've got a 45, 40, and 75. Basically, they're fun and interesting. I haven't tried these 3. This one was quite cool. You basically start off by getting on a train as a passenger and being taken into London Paddington. You can sort of sit around with the passengers. That was quite fun. Watch the world go by. You get to Paddington, get off and get on a loco, and then you take a train back out of London Paddington up to Reading, I think it was. Fun little scenario. This one, I don't know yet. We're going to try that later, and these I have no idea about. I would possibly have liked to have seen more scenarios. They are pretty well done, but I think I would have liked to have seen a few more of those as well. That brings us down to services. So in services, you then select your local, let's say the Class 166. And you're then taken onto the next screen, which is like your environmental settings. Now, if you've played CSX Heavy Haul, you'll have seen this before. Essentially, you just go through various spring, summer, autumn, winter, rain, cloud, clear, snowy, blizzard, blah, blah, blah. So you pick your weather that you want, and then you jump through and you pick your service that you want to do. Now, again, like CSX Heavy Haul, the way this works is there is a running 24-hour service, and you can basically jump into any aspect of it. If you don't jump into anything, what happens is the AI will basically do it for you. But, you know, if you were to jump into one part of it, you will see all the other parts running, you know, if you happen to pass them by. It's quite a cool feature. It basically gives you an awful lot of options because you can jump into any one of these, and they're not all, you know, identical. There's different things for you to do, like moving stock around, that kind of thing, you know, just doing the commuter runs. Lots and lots of options here for you to play with. In terms of the scenario map itself, you can see this is Paddington here, and this is Reading, I think it is, somewhere around that mark. I did cover this in a previous video about how far it goes. The train simulator version of it, I think, goes a bit further, and Just Trains did an extension that went north off here and even further down this way as well. But in this particular Great Western Express DLC, it only goes up to, I think it's somewhere about Reading. Yeah, so this is Reading Depot here. So you're looking at London, Paddington to Reading. It's not huge. It's about an hour's drive, something like that, in a frequent stopper. But it is incredibly detailed, as you'll see when we drive on this thing. It's very, very detailed. So you've got to forgive them on that one, I guess. Let's jump back now to the main menu, and we shall begin our look at the first look on this thing. We're going to jump into Down the Line. It says choose from 3 trains that are ready to depart for journeys from along the Thames Valley. Each one provides an all-stop commuter service along the Great Western Main Line. Now, the reason I'm going to go for this one is because by doing an all-stop service, we'll get to see a lot more of the scenario. So I think that's probably the best way to take a first look at this.
Welcome to London Paddington. There are 3 trains available for you to take control of. Each one provides an increasingly longer journey. Which will you choose?
That woman that you hear there, she's the woman that goes through the tutorials as well. So cool, though. The first thing that strikes you about this is the sheer level of detail. Look at this detail, and the lighting is so good. And the passenger models look pretty good. They're walking pretty well. I like it. The motion's nice. Anyway, choose a service. Platform 10 is a 60-minute service. Platform 8 is a 30-minute service, and there was another one that's a 17. I'm going to go to Platform 8 because I want to do the 30-minute service. I think that's long enough for a first look. Now look around, you'll see that the passengers are basically getting off the train and walking out. We're not allowed to walk out, we're banned, we're barred from leaving. We're not allowed to walk through there. But you will see them kind of jostle off each other. I think there's a bit more polish to be done on this, on the passenger side of things. Like I say, I'm using a pre-release version, so do bear that in mind. This is not a full release version at the moment. Nevertheless, I still think some of this stuff won't be polished out in time for release, but hopefully it would get polished later. I can forgive them for it not working amazingly on first release, because it is difficult to do this kind of stuff. But we shall see. I mean, in terms of the visuals though, you know, the game looks absolutely stunning. Like, look at that. Climb aboard. Just look at like the dirt effect on here. Just visually, the rendering is absolutely sublime. But that's the Unreal Engine for you. Right, let's click. Get inside. Oh, you can go this way if you want to. You know, there's complete freedom, which I love. We can go down here. We can sit down in the passenger seat. The passengers spawn like into here randomly, so they won't always sit in the same place. You won't always see the same people, which is what you did get on Train Simulator, the previous version. We can go in this way if we want to. Outside the platform here, every time you start the scenario, they'll be in a different place. You know, it's completely random, which is wonderful. Right, let's sit down, press E.
This train is a semi-stopping service to Slough. Get things set up, ready for departure. We'll be heading out shortly.
I'm not kidding. Her voice and accent just makes me laugh. I don't know why. She almost sounds like she's saying it tongue-in-cheek. Right, we'll put the reverser into forward. Set the headlights to day. The headlights are up here. Okay. Open the doors. Right, so what you do is you can either open the doors by using this, I think, or you press the tab, unlock the left or unlock the right side. So when we jump out here now, you can see the doors now open. And you can see the top left is like a circle, it loads the passengers. I'll go through the overlay elements, the UI elements shortly. Just want to have a quick look around these controls. Train lighting on and off. Don't know if that does anything or not. Off and off, don't know. Fault light dimmer, fault light brighter, windscreen demister. Tutorial doesn't talk about any of these controls. Windscreen demister, the cab light actually works, that's amazing. The guard buzzer is there. The train door close, the train door release. Left and right side, so you can do that manually if you want to. There's the reverse, so there's emergency brakes. The engine start and stop. You know, you can start the engine on some scenarios. DRA, these things don't seem to work. There's the throttle and brake. And if you look, there's a 125 coming in. And that's one of the things about this at the moment, is it is like a living kind of environment that you're in right now. You're inside the whole schedule. And that's really, really cool. Like, there's a train departing, there's one coming in, and they're all running to that schedule I talked about before. I like that. It really makes it feel like you're not just in an isolated environment, you're inside this kind of living world almost. Some of the passengers do quirky things, some just kind of stand around and never move, others will just do odd stuff now and again. I've seen them glitch into the pavement, so that one needs polishing. I've seen them get a bit stuck, which is not surprising. Like I said, writing passenger stuff is not easy. Now this thing here doesn't seem to do anything at all. The wipers, coupling and uncoupling, there's the warning horn, then there's a right side release and close. What else have we got? Wipers down there. We have passenger emergency override. Now the AWS system, it talks about the AWS system working in... There it is there. It talks about it working... 946, 1 second. Okay, press the close door button. So we could press that if you want this time. Just double check that closes the doors. There they go. Guard buzzer twice. That was over here. And it's all one mechanism on this train. Basically, the brake and the throttle are just one lever. You pull the lever back and it releases the brakes and kicks off the throttle. Now, let's talk about the HUD. Apply the brake throttle to notch 3 for a smooth departure. Okay, so it's giving you tips. I like that. Give you little tips on things to make you a bit smoother. Bottom right down there, you've got, you know, the throttle setting that we're in. You've got the speed, obviously. In the middle is the clock. The dial going around the outside is the speedometer. You can see the little red marker on there is showing you our current speed limit, which looks around about, what, 35, let's say. Let's move it on up. I want you to see the visuals outside. The blind works, by the way. The blind does actually work. We'll leave it mostly up. We want to get a look outside. And then obviously it shows you the brake control line pressures and that kind of thing. So all the information that you need is down the bottom right. If you've played Train Simulator, you'll know that it's laid out quite a bit differently. But let's just take a look outside and just look at this. Look how beautiful the lighting is on the train. Look at that lighting. It is fantastic. Let's watch my speed here. I want to show you what's going on outside, but I don't want to go speeding either. But look at that. It is exquisitely done. Depending on the weather settings, and this is like CSX Heavy Haul, depending on the weather settings, you know, you can experience, I wouldn't say, well, I hesitate to use the word frame drops. You can feel it starting to get a bit choppy, let's put it that way. When there's a lot going on the platform, like particularly in Paddington, and the weather outside is like rainy and there's lots to draw, lots of reflections, because when it rains you can really get the reflections and the water runs down the windscreen. There's a lot of visual stuff going on. When that happens, it does get a bit frame heavy. Okay, so top right there, we've got a yellow signal coming up at 400 yards. So let's be ready for that. Let's just pay a little bit of attention here, just in case we get an AWS. So if I'll go through the UI in a second, but if I press Control 1, it's not showing now. Control 2 will show us our next, like speed limit change. Control 3 will show us our next signal change. Control 4 will change the information up the top. So you can drive with these kind of, if you like, assist turned on or off. It's entirely up to you. Next signal is a red, so that thing didn't change. So we'll just cruise down. So if you want to just look outside the window like a real train driver and do it this way, you can. Or you can, you know, press Control F4, or you can do it this way. You've got options as to how you want to do it. It's entirely up to you, which I like, because obviously people are at different, like, skill levels, and the detail they want from the sim varies. Some people will have all the assists turned on, some people would never have them on, that kind of thing. It's nice to have the option. So we have a track speed of 50, but we can't go anywhere just yet anyway, because we've got a red light. Let's have a quick look outside and see what it looks like. Now, visual kind of details. I've not been out of Paddington on the train. That's one of the stations I've not actually been out of. If you have been out of it, how does this compare? I would be very interested to hear your comments on this. I suspect the major landmarks, like the bridges and stuff, will be here. But what's it like in terms of peripheral buildings? Have they tried to make it look right, or is it just a case of plop some buildings down? Let me know in the comments. If and when they ever do one coming out of Chelmsford, I'll be all over that. Right, let's speed up. Don't want to go too fast because it looks like we've got a whole bunch of signalling issues. So now it says 4 miles, stop at location Ealing Broadway, right? So top left, it's telling us that is our first stop. If we press Control 1 now, we can overlay that so you can visually see where it is on the screen as well. But you don't have to have that turned on. If you have it turned on, it says top left stop. If you have it turned off, it'll tell you how far. You can turn all the stuff off with F1 if you don't want any visual clues whatsoever. Now I just need to be careful here. We've got a double yellow, so we'll push on a little bit. The brakes on this thing are extremely good, so we're not going to have any problems slowing down if we have to. But we are running a frequent stopping service, which, you know, tend to be the most difficult out of all the scenarios, because the scheduling tends to be very, very tight, shall we say. Now we're chasing yellows now. It's nice. There's a little visual bug there, you see it? Little visual thing going on. A bit more polish for them to do. Okay, that's gone to yellow, so I think I'm going to try and pick up some momentum now. Now we're due at Ealing Broadway at 9:55. We know that it's 3 miles away. Which means we're more or less on time. But a lot of it depends on what goes on with these lights here. I've got a feeling there's a train further down the line. Possibly the one that took off on the track just to the right of us. Is it platform 7 maybe? 3 miles to the station. There's another little glitch there. Little visual glitch, you see it then? Doesn't appear... Oh yeah, it does. So there's a bug right there. Oh dear. Pre-release hype. I suspect that will all be polished out for release, so don't worry too much about that one. But, you know, other than that, it's behaving really smoothly. I'm not getting any AWS resets to do, so I suspect that may be a little bit of a bug. Now, one thing I do like, you'll see when we come into the platform, it visually superimposes like carriage locations, about which basically shows you where you should stop, and I really like that. I really do. I mean, I guess you could turn it off if you don't want it, but I really like having that. Right, 2 miles. We're still on a yellow. I think it's a single yellow, not a double. But yeah, just look at the visual detail on these. The texturing is absolutely fantastic. And visually, it looks amazing. It really does. Let me just look at that. It is proper next-gen engine right there. 1.6 miles. Right, from about a mile, I'm going to back off the throttle, and then we're going to have to start deceleration. Is that DB Schenker stuff? Look at that. Yeah, it is. Look at that. Looks so good. 9:55. We're only just going to be there on time. Okay, that's 1 mile out now. Press Control 1. It'll show you roughly where we are in relation to the platform. Now, 0.7, at what point do I start braking? Don't know. This first one's going to be a bit of guesswork. You can see the speed coming right down very quickly. This thing has very good brakes on it. Okay, 700 yards. I should do it. We can easily come in at 40 miles per hour and brake. Now we're going to look for those things on the floor. They should be there. Look at that. We're almost coming in on time. There they are. You see them? Uh-oh. Looks like I'm going to fall a little bit. Oh no. I've caught it. Look at that. So you basically want to line these 3 carriages up with the 3 carriages of the train. You see that? I really like that. I think that's so cool. Okay, unlock left. It says objective complete. The door should open and hopefully some people will get off and some people may even get on. Nope, looks like nobody's getting off. In fact, there's nobody on the train by the look of it. Oh, there's one person there. Now, you would think for the time of day this train would be busy, but I guess it's coming out of London and not in. Well, that's actually quite an interesting point, actually. The other platform, which is going into London, has lots of people on it. And this one hardly has any coming out of London. That's actually semi-realistic. I'm not sure if it's been modeled like that specifically, but that is often how things work in a morning. Right, so now we just wait for our next slot and then we're off. Now, at this point, you are free to just kind of get up and walk around. You can go inside here. You can say hi to everybody. You know, it's all cool. It's all perfectly allowed. Not really what people tend to do, but lock left. Don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but it feels fun to do it, so why not? Right, green signal. Now I've got a 90 limit, 3.4 miles to our next stop, which is Southall. Open and close prompts will no longer appear. It is up to you to action the doors at further points. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually kind of cool. So it kind of has almost adaptive tutorial now. It will help you and then say, look, you know how to do this now. I'm backing off. I agree with that. Now I'm trying to figure out the cameras in this thing. I know the cameras in Train Sim pretty well. 1 is obviously first person, 2 is that, 3 is that, and then you've got 9, which gives you the kind of route map, and you can see where we are on the route map and where our destination is and stuff. This is Paddington down here. You can see how big the whole section of track is. Oops, hang on. My bad. But I can't figure out some of the other ones. I know there's a fly around camera. Well, at least I had one on CSX, but I can't quite figure it out at the moment. I've not tried the horn either. That's pretty good. That works a treat. Look at that. Just look at the trees. Look at the lighting, the detail, the rendering. It is absolutely fantastic. It is really, really good. Like the distance, the fog as it goes into the distance. Just looks utterly brilliant. And we've got the frames as well, that's the other thing. We've got the visual fidelity and the frame rates to go with it. Look at that, smooth as butter. Yeah, the one thing I mentioned earlier about the kind of slight motion blur that you get. Now, I absolutely hate motion blur, I really do. It actually makes me feel a little bit queasy. I tried turning it off, but the option that turns it off is called post-processing. And essentially it has low, medium, high settings, I think it is, and ultra possibly. And what they've done is they've combined the whole thing, like the whole post-processing. I don't know if it's a limit of the Unreal Engine or not, but you can't turn off motion blur without turning off a whole bunch of lighting detail, which is deeply annoying. But I haven't found a way to do it yet. I'm going to actually suggest to them, can they please break out the motion blur setting onto its own so we can just turn it off. Because it actually, when you do turn it off, it affects a lot of the lighting. It just doesn't look as good, and it's really annoying. So I want to have the light turned on to maximum, but I don't want to have this horrible motion blur that you get. Look at that, it's just horrid. Okay, let's back off on the throttle now. We've got a yellow signal coming up. This is probably a red light at the platform. Half a mile, let's start getting some braking action going. Just look how good this thing is at shaving speed, though. So again, if you press Control 1, it'll show you visually where you're stopping. Time are we due in? 10:01. Okay, we're actually going to be a bit early. Okay, we're looking for the marks on the floor. There they are. Let's try stopping in first person this time and see how accurate we can get it. Brake level 1. Okay. Brake level 2, full service. Overshot very slightly, I think. Yeah. But it's okay, it's okay. Okay, it doesn't quite stop as quickly as I thought it would. Unlock left. Objective complete, there we go. Camera snapping is a bit annoying, see that? And just all I'm doing is moving up, but it snaps the camera in and out. So that's a bit irritating. Again, it's all just polished stuff. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing it out. The game just looks so good. Oh, look. See? She's actually got on the train. Look at this. Look at all these passengers who got on and sat down. Now, the funny thing is I didn't see these people get on, so I'm a bit suspicious of that. But they do sit in random locations, which is very, very welcome. Okay. Almost time for us to move on. Another train coming in. Looks like we leave just when that one arrives. That's really cool. Okay, lock the doors, lock left. Wait for the doors to release. Wait until 10:02. Okay. I'm impressed. I mean, this is the first time I've done this scenario, and so far, scarily, we're actually on time. Oh no, that graphic glitch again, look. Right, we have a 80-mile-an-hour limit. Let's get some acceleration going now. 1.8 miles to the next stop, though, so we're not going to get up to 80 before we get there, I don't think. Do you know what? Almost looks like a model railway, doesn't it? Do you not think? I don't know what it is. It just looks like a model railway. Wonderful detail, though. Like a turret there as well. I bet that's a landmark. But you know, one thing I've not really focused on yet is the AI vehicles. You know, like the road vehicles. I want to see how they're working. Because that was one thing in Train Simulator that really bugged me was, it was just awful, quite frankly. I mean, you'd see these roads and then you'd have vanishing vehicles, you know, vehicles just driving up and down that looked like cardboard cutouts. It was awful. Okay, we have a red aspect coming up. Oh, it's gone to yellow. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll cruise. It's like possible we're catching something up again. I like this over-the-shoulder view, which you get from pressing number 3. Don't know why that's not beeping. Well, I think, you know, in terms of the weather, they've obviously picked a nice kind of sunny day. It looks, the other scenario I did was in the rain, and the rain, it just looks so good. It kind of falls on the windscreen, and when you start moving, like the rainwater like rolls up the windscreen as it should. The blades wipe it off correctly. The outside of the train is all shiny and wet and has like droplets on it. They've done the weather effect and it's so very, very nicely. I've not tried it in the snow yet. I might try one of the other scenarios where you go out in the snow just to see what happens. No, I almost forgot that we actually had to stop here then. It's alright. Back off on the brakes, dude. Back off on the brakes. 10:05. Okay, we're just about getting on time. There's definitely something on the model of that train that is glitching out. The little graphical thing they need to fix by the look of it. Now I've gone a brake too early. Lol. Oh well. It should still count it. Objective complete. Yeah, it's counted it. Door opens, passengers loading. Now this, looking around here, the platform detail here looks like it, to me, is probably realistic. Something... Is that a white thing in the road, though, or is that an illusion? But yeah, this actually looks like it's been properly modelled. Here comes another train. Where it says S, in theory, that's where he should stop. Oh, camera snap. That's almost lining up with mine. That's brilliant. Wow. It's even got the platform prompts. Okay, let's get ready to shut the door. Time's departure. Right, 2.3 miles west Drayton, stopping at 10:09. Just look at the detail on this panel, this black panel. There's like all scratched bits off it, so it looks worn in. I like that. They've kind of gone for the worn in texture look. Even down there as well where the footplate is. Really nice. Oh, another yellow signal, come on. Buildings on the left, quite a bit of detail there as well. So, I mean, so far, if I'm, you know, based on what I've seen so far, if you was asking me what my opinion on this DLC is, I mean, don't even ask me if it's worth the money, because at the end of the day, that is always a decision for you, I think, as a purchaser and a viewer. I think that's always your call. I think it's right for me to show you this, and then for you to make a decision about whether it's worth it, or whether you want to hold off for a sale. Because it depends on what you see and whether you think it is value for money. Personally, I think graphically it's superb. The locos behave really nicely. Nowhere near enough tutorials covering the locos. I don't think they're being exploited enough. I think there's lots of, you know, operational things on this train. Lots of buttons that we could be using. But I don't think they're exploited. It almost feels like they've built this kind of train, this loco, with lots of operable buttons and then just like used a fraction of them, and I don't really understand that. The tutorials, like I say, I would want more of. The scenarios, there's like 5 of them. Possibly would have liked a few more, but then you've got the 24-hour operational schedule that you just go in and, you know, do what you like in that, so it kind of makes up for it. Send the brakes off. And then you've got the length of the track. You know, is it enough? Well, there's still a lot here. I mean, you can go up and down this quite a bit. using that 24-hour schedule. So I think there is a lot to do. But I don't think, unlike Train Sim, I don't think there's like it's been open for third-party development yet. I don't think they've given the tools out. That's what I heard. I don't know how true that is. Which is a shame, because it means people can't build content for this yet. So I had to concentrate for a second, then I thought I was about to just completely blast that platform stopping point. So I'm pleased. I think the passengers was always the thing about this. It was always the make or break deal. From what I can see of the passengers, I think there's more work to be done. Uh-oh. Oh, it's okay. Open left. Whew. I think there's more work to be done. I think what we've got here is a great start. You know, we've got lots of passengers. They're all sitting in different places. There's plenty of models. Obviously, we can add some more later, because you tend to get this kind of thing where you've got twins in just slightly different coloured tracksuits. So it's not perfect. I've seen them use faces and swap different different sort of hairstyles, different tops, that kind of thing. You know, she looks suspiciously like her, for example, but she has different clothing. So you can see what's going on. You can see the shortcuts. Don't blame them for that. But I see passenger behaviour isn't quite right yet. They don't spread out enough. They bump into each other too much. They get stuck too much. But it's a good start. And I am very hopeful that over the next, coming months, they'll actually sort that out. Okay, let's get ready to lock the doors. But if you're waiting for that kind of... If you're already expecting that kind of perfect passenger train experience, it's not here just yet. The passengers aren't quite perfect. But it's definitely a big step in the right direction. Right, 10:13, stopping at either 1.5 miles. I mean, just look at that scene right there. It really is good. Really is good. Thing is, having built these locos, presumably they can take them into other parts of England. You know, different scenarios they can build. Use that loco, just change the livery or whatever, drop it into some more stuff, and thus the DLC machine is produced. But if you get, if you like a particular loco, which a lot of people do, they have favorite classes that they want to drive, then that's exactly what you want to do. You want to take that and drive it in different situations and on different sceneries. It's exactly what you're after. But I would suggest that, at the moment, this is probably, thinking about the other train sims out there, this is probably the most realistic experience we have at the moment. But, you know me, I always want more. Interaction with the passengers would be fantastic. Right, 1/2 mile. Let's get ready with the braking. (10:13) stop. We are actually slightly late now. I'm just going to run this to the wire a bit more. Try and claw back some of that time. Of course, there's always risk that I'll just completely miss our stopping point doing this. But I'm kind of getting a bit more confidence in how to use the braking on this. So it wasn't perfect, but it's not bad either. Unlock left. You see, oh, there you go. Finally, people are getting off. Right, okay, so now we can see what happens. So watch this. You'll probably see them do weird stuff now. So they're all piling off. They're all going to the bridge. Look at that. I've not seen that yet. That is really, really, really significantly better than anything we've ever seen in Train Sim. They're working their way up the bridge. They're kind of getting to the top and getting a little bit confused, smashing into each other. But other than that, they're actually behaving correctly. Now, I don't know where they're going to go when they get off the other side. And I'm probably going to have to leave this oh no, they're just going all the way off the bridge. It's awesome. It's really cool. It's all we ever wanted. And none of them managed to glitch out either. Fantastic. I'm really pleased about that. Don't know where he came from, mine, but... Time to lock the doors. Right, next stop, Langley 1017. That's in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to start hard accelerating out of here now. Need to catch up some time. That's cool. Just having random people sat down, walking around. Just like a normal platform should be. Aha, there's a road. Are there any vehicles? None at all. Right, now that's a disappointment. That is a disappointment. You should definitely be seeing people on the road at this point. Maybe that's something they're going to add later, I don't know. I don't know if it's implemented. I thought I saw a car on one of the roads, but... if it is implemented, that's nowhere near the amount of traffic that it should be on there. Especially for this time of day. So the cool thing is, while you're driving the train, you can actually just get up and go in here. And if you look, a whole lot of people have gone because they're the ones that got off. Yeah, so the system's like properly dynamic. Like, he managed to let his evil twin out. Who got off at Ivor. 1017 arrival. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to try and punch it all the way to about 400 or 500 yards and then start hitting the brakes. There it is in sight. Let's neutralize. Okay. Quite heavy braking, not very comfortable for the passengers, to be fair. But they're not complaining. I don't know how there's like no scoring system in this sim at the moment. Like there used to be on the previous one, where you get deducted points for tickets and all that kind of thing. I used to hate the old system of speeding points, but I kind of miss having the structure, you know? I miss having some way of measuring how well I did. Look at that, that's actually not bad. Okay, unlock left. Oh, there's a fast one coming through. There's a glitchy fast one. Oh man, that's so good. That was so good. And the people are coming up the platform. It's beautiful, I tell you. Beautiful. The rendering's a bit weird, like the railing shadow is glitching out and the front of the train's kind of flickering around. That's a bit weird. But look, they're getting up the bridge, they're going over the other side, then they're actually... Are they disappearing? Yep, they're disappearing into a fence. Alright, so... That bit's slightly disappointing. It was looking good right up until the point of despawn. Can't stick my head out the window. I used to press Shift F2 and stick my head out the window like a dog, and I used to love that. Can't do that anymore. They seem to have removed that option, unless I've just not figured it out yet. Next stop is our final destination of Slough, 2.1 miles. So this was only a half-hour service, and this was about, what, half of the entire line length? But it's been pretty good. Really enjoyed the detail. We already had one train come in. Well, it came in, it went right through, but here's a stopper coming in. Just wonderful. I love the fact they've got an actual 24-hour schedule built into the game, you know? Amongst other things, it just gives you more to do. 1.9 miles. Look at the carriage moving, look, between 1 and 2 carriages. You see them moving around? Proper sort of dynamic connections going on there. Really cool. The only thing that you don't get the experience from is when you stand up, you don't feel like you're getting thrown around a little bit, which would be fun. Next stop is a yellow aspect. Next signal, sorry. I think we've got some signalling to deal with here. Let's just back off the throttle at this point. See what's going on. Makes you wonder what they're going to do next with this game with Train Sim World. Like, what would be their next DLC? The thing is about this one is it had to break the back of the whole passenger thing. And like I say, they've got some more work to do, but now they've actually done it. They can move on now and release other passenger services, DLCs. They've done the freight, they've done the passengers. Okay, let's get the braking on now. Welcome to Slough. Been to Slough, but never actually to the Slough station. Oh god, apparently I'm speeding. I did not see that speed change. Eek. Eek! I messed up right at the end. Did not see that speeding change. Did not know we were going into a terminal. Don't know where it showed me that. If it showed it me top right, I didn't see it. Okay. Unlock left. And scenario. Get the camera to sit still and behave. Fire brakes to full service. Okay, set the reverser to off. So you push it forward to go to off. Set the master key to locked.
Good work on that run. There are plenty more duties you can sign up to if you're interested.
Head over to the exit to finish for the day. It's so cool the way you get to, like, walk off at the end. So there you go. I mean, I've left the lights on. I should probably have turned those off, but she didn't actually tell me to. Be able to do it, yeah. There we go. Do that. Do that. Job's a good one. And then we basically leave like all the other passengers. Look at this. I love the way they end the scenario now like this. This is brill. The only problem is you have to find the exit. And the way you do it is by the distance. You see the distance top left? So I know if I go this way, then I'm moving further away. So it must be that way. It'd be good if you could use the ATM as well. So I think it must be that. There you go. It's just down there. Cool. It gives you this one a weird point system. I've no idea what that's all about. 17.93 miles driven. 238 yards walked. Time taken 42 minutes. And then it gives you a breakdown of the times here. Although it doesn't say when we was due. It should actually show you due and then time. Maybe that's bugged out as well. I don't know. So that completes my first look at Train Sim World Great Western Express DLC. I'll do some more videos in the future. I'm going to cover this one, which is the Intercity 125, and I'll also take a look at the freight side of things as well. Leave me some comments and let me know what you thought about what you saw, and whether you thought it was what you was expecting or not. Until the next one, take care, guys. Happy training.